Hello, dear podcast listener. Today, we're taking a journey into one of the most fascinating and mysterious civilizations in human history, ancient Egypt. A land where, amidst endless desert sands, a civilization rose that remains full of secrets even to this day. A civilization of pharaohs, pyramids, mummies, multiple gods, and a mysterious script called hieroglyphs. These are only fragments of its story. In this in-depth episode, we will walk together into the enigmatic world of ancient Egypt. Section 1: Introduction to Ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt developed around the Nile River. Its fertile banks made agriculture possible, turning Egypt into a cradle of civilization. This civilization lasted for over 3,000 years, from around 3100 BCE until the conquest of Alexander the Great in 332 BCE. Section 2: The Pyramids. The pyramids are the most iconic symbols of Egypt. These massive stone structures were built as tombs for pharaohs and nobles. The most famous ones are the Pyramids of Giza, the Great Pyramid of Khufu, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Pyramid of Khafre, and the Pyramid of Menkaure. Their construction remains a mystery. How did they transport such massive stones? Was it with ramps, manpower, or something else entirely? Section 3: Belief in the afterlife and mummification. Egyptians believed death wasn't the end, it was the beginning of another journey. They believed in a trial before the gods, the weighing of the heart against the feather of Ma'at, a paradise for the pure-hearted, and annihilation for the wicked. That's why they mummified the bodies, to preserve them for the afterlife. Organs were removed and placed in canopic jars. Amulets, spells, and prayers were included to protect the deceased in the next world. Section 4: The Gods and Religion. Ancient Egypt was a polytheistic society. They had gods for everything. Ra, sun god, creator. Osiris, god of the afterlife. Isis, goddess of healing and magic. Anubis, god of mummification. Temples were built as homes for these gods. Priests performed rituals, and people brought offerings to gain favor. Section 5: Famous pharaohs. The pharaohs were not just rulers, they were considered divine. Ramses II, known for his military campaigns and massive temples. Hatshepsut, a powerful female pharaoh. Akhenaten, introduced monotheism by worshipping Aten. Tutankhamun, became famous after his untouched tomb was discovered in 1922. Section 6: Temples and Rituals. Temples were grand and symbolic. Inside them, rituals were performed daily. Statues of gods were dressed and fed. Festivals were held with processions and music. Some famous temples: Karnak Temple, Luxor Temple, Abu Simbel Temple. Section 7: The Nile and Everyday Life. The Nile River was the lifeblood of Egypt. It provided water for drinking and irrigation, fish and fertile land, transportation for people and goods. Farmers depended on the seasonal flooding of the Nile. They plant wheat, barley, ana flax. Section 8: Social structure. Egyptian society was hierarchical. Pharaoh at the top. Viziers and high priests. Scribes and soldiers. Craftsmen and merchants. Farmers and laborers. Slaves were at the bottom but could gain freedom and rise in status. Section 9: The role of women. Women in ancient Egypt had rights. They could own property and inherit wealth. They could divorce and remarry. Some became high priestesses or even pharaohs. Section 10: Writing and Education. The Egyptian writing system was hieroglyphic. It included over 700 symbols representing sounds, words, ideas. Only scribes knew how to write. They studied in temple schools and had high status in society. Section 11: Medicine and Science. Egyptians were skilled in medicine. They practiced surgery, used herbs, and understood anatomy. They wrote medical texts like the Ebers Papyrus. They also excelled in astronomy, creating a 365-day calendar. Mathematics, geometry, arithmetic. Architecture, constructing pyramids and temples. Section 12, Art and Symbolism. Egyptian art was not just decorative, it had deep meaning. Human figures were drawn in profile. Colors had symbolic meanings. Scenes were based on life, mythology, and the afterlife. Common art forms. Wall paintings in tombs. Statues of gods and pharaohs. Jewelry and ceremonial objects. Section 13, Festivals and Celebrations. Festivals were frequent and lively. Celebrations for gods like Osiris, Horus, and Hathor. Agricultural festivals during the Nile's flooding. Public processions with music, food, and drink. Section 14, Clothing, Jewelry, and Appearance. Egyptians wore light linen clothing. Men wore kilts. Women wore dresses. They loved jewelry. Gold necklaces, bracelets, rings, and earrings. Precious stones like turquoise, lapis lazuli, and carnelian. They used makeup. Kohl for eyeliner. Henna for hands and feet. Section 15, Music, Games, and Entertainment. Music was part of every celebration. Instruments, flutes, harps, drums, and cymbals. Games. Senet, an early board game. Children played with dolls and animal-shaped toys. Storytelling and poetry were popular forms of entertainment. Section 16, Trade and Foreign Relations. Egypt traded with neighbors. Nubia, gold, ivory. Phoenicia, cedarwood, dyes. Mesopotamia, grain, textiles. They signed treaties, like the Treaty of Kadesh with the Hittites, one of the first peace treaties in history. Section 17, Law and Justice. The legal system was based on ma'at, truth and order. Pharaoh was the supreme judge. There were local courts for disputes. Laws covered property and inheritance, theft and punishment, marriage and divorce. Section 18, Mysteries and Theories. Ancient Egypt has sparked countless theories. Alien influence in pyramid construction. Hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx. Magical powers of amulets. While many of these are myths, they show how deeply Egypt still fascinates the world. Section 19, Modern Legacy of Ancient Egypt. Today, Egypt lives on in movies, The Mummy, Gods of Egypt. Games, Assassin's Creed Origins. Museums and exhibitions worldwide. Egyptian symbols are found in fashion, architecture, and pop culture. Section 20, Final Thoughts. Ancient Egypt wasn't just a civilization, it was a vision of eternity. With its beliefs, art, science, and mystery, it continues to teach and inspire us. Perhaps that is the secret of its immortality. Until the next episode, farewell.